Welcome back, everybody. Our first guest tonight is an Emmy, Grammy, and Tony-winning actor you know from shows like Pose and Kinky Boots on Broadway. He's starring as the MC in Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club at the August Wilson Theater on Broadway. Please welcome back to the show, Billy Porter, everyone. Because, you know, you're doing a Broadway show, and you have to get dressed up for that every night, and I was worried. I'm like, maybe Billy is not going to get all dressed up for me.
You know I'm always going to have a look.
You're always going to have a... Do you ever take...
L-E-W-K,
do you ever walk out of the house without a L-E-W-K?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
When I'm going to the drugstore.
The good people at Duane Reade do not get this.
And I put a baseball hat on and all of that.
Okay, good. Well, that's I allow it. Yeah. I will allow it. This is fantastic. This is an iconic role, the MC in Cabaret. You just finished a run on the West End in London playing this role.
Made my London debut. Me and Marisha Wallace.
Fantastic.
My co-star. We made our London debut from January to May. Then we've had a couple of months off, and we started on Tuesday. So my fourth show is tonight.
That's fantastic. And how similar are their productions?
It's the same. It's
the
pretty
same
much
production.
the same.
So did you find your way right back into the part then? After?
Yeah, it was like riding a bike.
Okay.
I had 2 months off. We went into rehearsal, and the associates were like, "Oh, well, let's walk through it." I said, "No, child, please, let's just do it. Let's just do it." And we did it. And I got out of rehearsal early because I knew my stuff.
Oh, that's great. We were talking backstage, which is very impressive. While you were doing a cabaret out in the UK, you also directed a play that just opened.
I did. I had 2 months off, and for the first month, I directed a play by Harrison David Rivers called This Bitter Earth at the Soho Theatre in London. It was well reviewed.
How many
5 stars?
How many times have you directed?
I've been directing for like 20 years.
20 years. So
25 years.
How do you feel? How do you think people would describe the difference of you as a director and you as a performer?
I think it's very similar.
Yeah.
I'm about love. I'm about play. I'm about, you know, how blessed we are to be and breathe this rarefied air that we breathe, to be able to do the thing that we love the most. I bring that into everything. So.
That's fantastic.
Yes.
You see it on the stage.
Yes.
And now, you know, again, obviously you have a great love for it, a great appreciation for it, but I'm wondering, do you still get nervous before shows, stage fright?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Oh, yes. I just had bubble guts on Tuesday. TMI, maybe TMI. No, but it's the truth, you know, and I also sometimes I have those dreams, those like actor's nightmare dreams.
Yeah.
Where like, I'm outside and I can hear the show, but I can't find the way into the theater. I can't find the stage door. Or I'll be standing backstage looking at a show and going, I know it's time for my entrance and I don't know this show.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. And then I have the dream where my teeth are always falling out.
That was it's crazy that it happens to enough people that they're like, yeah, no, that's a thing.
No, it's a thing. Somebody said it might be sexual. Have you ever heard that?
I haven't heard that.
You've
but
never
I feel
heard
like
the
there's
teeth
certain
falling
dream
out?
people who are going to tell you everything's sexual. You know what I mean? You're like, I fell down the stairs. They're like, boner, that means boners. Now, Eddie Redmayne played the role as well. He was here, and he talked about, you know, again, this is a period piece. This takes place before there were even cell phones, and yet someone in the audience mid-show asked to take a selfie with him.
Yeah, you know, there's wild things because they also serve people alcohol, and there are tables in the front.
Yeah.
So, you know, that gets tricky because sometimes people are overserved.
Yeah.
And I had a group of influencers in London who were overserved, who were speaking very loudly during the opening number, and I tried and I tried and I tried, and finally I just turned and just said, "What are y'all doing? Yeah. What y'all talking about over here? Were you raised in a barn? There's a show going on."
I bet you were. That was appreciated by the rest of the audience.
It was appreciated, and it's, you know, my character gets to break the fourth wall, you know. So it's playful like that. Somebody was in the front on their phone like this. I said, "Don't make me come out there."
Yeah.
Because I will.
It's shocking, because again, I mean, I think if there's an issue on Broadway right now because there's all these fantastic shows, but like the price point to get in is obviously very high, and it's really shocking to me that people pay this much money and then also want to look at their phone.
And then be on their phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's indicative of,
what's wrong
the culture
with
right
all
now.
of us. Yeah.
Yeah.
A few shows I've been to recently, they take your phone and they lock it up.
Who?
And when I saw Othello, they
did?
They zipped me up.
Yeah,
Can I tell you
I'm
something?
gonna get that for the next one.
I loved it. As an
Of course.
audience member, because it was that thing of like, if they were like, we just want to zip up yours, I'd be like, hey. But the fact they zipped up everybody, it was great because you could feel like a collective, the way you should feel when you're at theater, the collective attention should all be focused one way. Yeah.
The focus, yeah.
Well, it's fantastic that you're back on Broadway. I have more to ask you. We'll be right back with Billy after this. We're here with Billy Porter. This is very fitting. You have a new beauty line?
I do, Black Mona Lisa Beauty.
How did this start? How was this seed planted?
I'm trying to be a mogul.
Yeah.
Seth.
Got to get to the top of that mountain.
I'm trying to be a mogul. So my last album, my 5th album was called Black Mona Lisa Volume 2. I knew when that name dropped from the sky that it was bigger than just a song and just an album. And so that's become my alter ego, Black Mona Lisa. You can call me Black Mona Lisa if you're nasty. And I'm sort of just trying to build out. So the beauty was the first thing to sort of come to me. We've been working on it for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and I'm very, very proud of it.
What was your introduction to that sort of beauty and skincare world?
Well, the skincare happened like when I was 14. I don't know what it was. Maybe it was my gaydar that led me to the department store Kaufman's in downtown Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And I went straight to the Clinique counter. Why did I know what Clinique was? And I asked for a face regime. And the lady was like, your skin is perfect. What are you? And I was like, this is preventative. I'm trying to be a movie star. This is preventative. But also, being a black man growing up in a black household, anytime soap and water hits our skin, we have lotion. We carry it in our bags. We carry it in our purses. We carry it in our pockets. And my face was Vaseline. Mom put Vaseline on my face in the winter.
Yeah.
So everybody asks me how my skin is so soft. That's how.
Yeah. I think if I overheard a 14-year-old saying, I want preventative skin regime.
Because I'm trying to be a movie star?
I'd ask for their autograph. The amount of confidence I would have in their success, I'm like, can you sign it for me now so I have it? You're obviously a very fashionable person, and I've heard you talk about the fact that, the church was sort of one of the first, de facto fashion shows that you would go to.
Absolutely. It's well known in the black community that Sunday best is a thing. A lot of black people had to wear uniforms, were domestics, were working in the fields and Sunday was the best way when they could just dress up as themselves. My favorite time of year was Easter and Christmas because I would get a new Easter suit and a new Christmas suit every year. And that was my favorite time. And I carried that tradition out until I was like in my 30s when I started wearing other things.
And I've heard you describe the aisle at church felt like a runway.
The runway, honey, yes. That center aisle was the runway at church.
And you would want...
For all the people, the church hats. That's where my influence comes directly.
And it would be ideally you'd want to be closer to the pulpit because that would give you more runway.
Yes.
Yeah.
You have to walk from the back to the front fashionably late.
Yes. Oh, fashionably late. You actually believed you were maybe being a pastor was in your future.
Well, growing up where I grew up, where in the environment that I grew up, little preacher man, when there's something special that people can see, the bubble is generally preacher.
Right.
And I preached my first and last sermon when I was about 11. And I was like, no, Mom, that's not it.
Oh, so you opted out.
Yeah, I opted out.
Based on what the audience saw when you were 11, do you think they wanted more?
I don't know, and I don't care.
Okay.
Because I was done.
Yeah.
However, I then saw Jennifer Holliday
Yep.
on the Tony Awards, like around that same time. And I said, oh, that's my preaching. That's my ministry right there.
And you know,
for Dreamgirls.
So this is the 1982 Tonys, and when you won a Tony, you talked about this, and you're not alone. I feel like I've seen so many really moving Tony acceptance speeches where people on the stage, it's like when you back, and hopefully it's still happening today, like the Tony Awards, I feel like, are like a bat signal to the rest of the country.
It is
of like, there's this world here for you.
There is. And back then, before social media sort of connected the theater audiences all over the world, it was hard. And I was a bullied child. There was a lot of trauma, and theater was introduced to me, and it saved my life. Like, I don't know where I would be if it wasn't for the theater. I grew up in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and there was a lot of theater and art there, and art saved me. It really did.
I mean, it really speaks to, when people, sometimes question the value of art. It's like, the fact that every community, like, that has an artistic place for people to go. Like, it's not just that it creates a place for an audience to go. It also creates a home for people who want to do that.
And it also creates free thinkers.
Yeah.
That's why it's generally attacked first.
Well, we're lucky they had it for you.
We had it.
Yeah, and we're lucky that you were watching the Tonys that night, because now we're all lucky enough to be able to watch you. Thanks so much for being here. You guys are so supportive of Cabaret at the Kit Kat Club. Playing at the August Wilson Theater on Broadway. We'll be right back with Mid First and Emily Sonnet.